Hello everyone, welcome to Health Australia Party Talks. I'm Molly. Now tonight we're going to be talking with Jenny Segail, and she is a yoga instructor. And I've known Jenny for many years, and she brings to her yoga what I see as a very gentle and calming manner that I've admired very much over the years. Now Jenny teaches in Sydney, and mostly now she teaches on Zoom, and because of the COVID restrictions, she's had to change her way of teaching, which I know a lot of us have. So, and it's working out really well for her, and I think it's rather wonderful. Jenny started yoga back in about 1999 because she had back and neck issues, pain and so on, and it's led her on quite a journey. So let's talk about that journey. Jenny, welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure. So I started yoga because I had a bad back due to my 2 pregnancies. And it was so bad that at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I would have to go and lie down because I just couldn't tolerate standing up. So I was seeing a massage therapist, and I was going for massage literally every 2 weeks. And it really made a difference. It really helped. But he said to me, in order to maintain my body, I should try yoga. And so I started yoga. And the minute I started, I was just hooked. And I started noticing that it really made a difference. The stretching, which is what yoga is really about, helped to keep my back in check and take the pain away. And today, I very seldom go for massage. I'm able to keep my back pain at bay purely through yoga. So it really does alleviate pain massively. But what I discovered along my journey was that there were so many more benefits. And one of the major benefits is stress relief. And today, I work with a lot of guys who are in very stressful jobs, working really hard, and they come to yoga to release the stress. And the comments that I get after the class are phenomenal. People are saying things like, "Oh my God, I feel so much better," and I've just had this major breathing space in my life, and I just feel so much better. And they're able to literally continue and carry on and reset, if you like. So it gives you this breathing space in your life. It actually stops all those crazy voices in your head. It just it grounds you. It just makes you feel a lot more calm.
I think that's one of the things that for a lot of people we don't do. We don't take that time for ourselves, that moment where we can reset and then recharge our batteries.
Correct, exactly. So what yoga does is, some of the poses are quite challenging. So when you're going through these poses, you cannot actually think of thoughts. You cannot actually focus on your mind. You are so focused on your body that the voices stop. And it's the voices that cause us so much stress.
Yes.
So we do this physical workout, right? And sometimes the stronger the workout, the better, because when we then go into Shavasana, which is the meditation or the relaxation at the end of the class, we are so physically tired that the mind is able to completely relax. I think I've lost you, Molly. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
So that's the whole concept. You work physically hard, and then the mind is able to literally switch off. So when you're in Shavasana, you are not thinking about anything. You are just calm, you are relaxed, and the mind is free. And when you've had that experience, you just feel so much more refreshed.
Yeah, it sounds lovely.
Yeah, it is lovely. But, as we were saying before the chat, yoga comes in many different forms. So, some people say, "Oh, I do yoga," but what do they really mean? Because there are all sorts of different yoga. There is strong yoga, which I do, which is vinyasa yoga. Then there is yin yoga, which is you literally do a very limited amount of poses in the class, and you hold the poses for a long period of time. So you literally submerge yourself in the pose. Some people love that, and they find it very meditative. Then there's yoga for beginners. So if you are starting yoga, the best thing to do is to do a beginner's course, to learn the basics. And then you progress as your strength develops, as your flexibility develops, you progress to something a little more stronger and a little harder.
What about someone like me who's older, and I could certainly get down on the ground, but I'd never get back up easily? How would you work with someone like me who hasn't done yoga before, but particularly given the times that we're in now, we're a little bit restricted in what we do? How could I learn to do yoga at home, given that I'm not terribly flexible anymore?
So flexibility and strength comes with practice. You know, it's like riding a bicycle or walking up a hill. When you first start, it's really difficult. And the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and your body adjusts. And then you're able to go to sort of higher levels. And it's the same with yoga. You've got to start somewhere. Think of yoga as stretching. A lot of the poses are just stretching. Stretching is so important for the body. I mean, I don't know if you know, you've probably seen, you often see like an old man, for example, walking down the street, and he's very sort of hunched and folded over. And that's because everything has literally tightened up, and he's unable to literally straighten up his back. So yoga keeps you very flexible, and that flexibility keeps us from aging. So something like you've got to start with small steps. So we start just stretching your hamstrings, just loosening you up. It doesn't, you know, you would need to start with an easier class, a beginner's class maybe, or even a restorative class. You know, there's restorative yoga, which is designed for people that have got trauma perhaps, or serious illnesses, and they can't do the more, you know, strenuous types of yoga, and it's designed to really just relax you and calm you.
Okay, so yeah, you can have levels of it, and gentle introduction.
Yes, and also the teacher is really important. You really have to connect with your teacher, because yoga is not only a physical thing, it's a spiritual thing, it's a mental thing, it's an emotional thing. So if you are going to a class and you've got a teacher that you're just not in sync with, that you just don't like, or you're just not feeling it, you need to try a different teacher. And oftentimes, you know, so I'll often, or not often, but I'll get students that come to my class and they just don't feel the connection with me, or they feel that my sort of style of yoga is wrong for them. Well, then they mustn't just give up and go, oh, well, I've tried yoga and it wasn't for me. They should rather go, well, let me try a different teacher, because a different teacher will give a completely different experience.
Okay, and there's many different forms of yoga. So there's one that you use heat with, isn't it? What do you?
Yes, I don't practice that form. Bikram yoga, or hot yoga they call it.
That's it, yeah, Bikram, yeah.
The belief is that when your body is really warm, so you go into a room and it's really warm, it's not good for people with low blood pressure and people with high blood pressure. I tried it once and I've got low blood pressure, and after literally a minute I thought I was going to faint, and I had to, and I actually left the studio, which you're not really supposed to do. You're supposed to literally go down into child pose and try and recover. But some people love it and swear by it, and the reason they love it is because when there's heat, the body warms up, flexibility increases, and you're able to do poses that you are unable to do in the cold. So I sort of practice seasonal yoga. So I tell my students, for example, in winter is a time where we maintain our practice. We don't force the practice, we don't build the practice, we don't push at all, because it's cold and the joints become stiff. And if you overstretch in winter, you get this rebound reaction. So everything tightens up after the class, and that causes pain. Whereas in summer, when it's warm, you are far more flexible and you can push your practice a little harder and you can build a little harder. You will be able to go into poses in summer that you cannot go into in winter.
That's interesting. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's actually quite amazing. So, and it took me a couple of years to learn that, because what would happen is I would go in winter would come around and I would go, oh my gosh, I can't touch my toes anymore. And I would force my body to go to touch my toes because I remembered that I could do it a couple of months ago in summer, and then I would land up with a sore back. So now what I've learned,
interesting.
when it's cold, you tune into your body and you listen to your body. And if your body doesn't want to go there, it's okay for that class. Maybe the next class you'll be able to go a little further. You have to accept where you are at any given moment, because your body is different every day. The weather is different every day. If there's moisture in the air, it's a bit harder to do yoga. Yoga in the morning is much harder than yoga in the evening, because your body is much warmer in the evening. So
that's very interesting.
Yeah, you've got to tune in to what's really going on in your body.
Yeah, fascinating. I certainly didn't know that before. So with you particularly like yoga for, apart from relieving physical pain and tightness, but you like it for stress. So given that we're in this very stressful world at the moment, how could people join your Zoom yoga, and how would you work with the stresses that we're all living under at the moment?
Okay, so the important thing with yoga is the breath. So let's just try something, Molly, because I'll just show you the importance of the breath. So if we're stressed, for example, let's just try something. Let's just close our eyes. Now all we're going to do is take 3 breaths, but the breaths we're going to take are going to be very long, elongated breaths, right? And when we inhale, we're going to literally expand the chest and the ribs. So we're going to try and, almost imagine that we're expanding these ribs and breathe right down into your belly. So you almost like push your tummy out as you breathe in. And then we're going to take a nice long pause, which we call a kumbhaka in yoga. And then we're going to take a long, deep exhale. And as we exhale, we're going to literally pull our tummies in and try and get all the air out of our nose. So we breathe, in yoga, we breathe through our nose and exhale through the nose. Now we're going to do 3 of these, and you're going to see how you instantly relax. It instantly relaxes the parasympathetic nervous system, which is the system that is activated during yoga, and that is the system that enables us to relax. So let's just try this. Okay.
All right. So it's all through the nose, in the nose and out of the nose.
Exactly. So I'll talk you through it. So just close the eyes. Just close the eyes, and just find a nice, comfortable position. Relax the shoulders, and try and feel a little bit heavy in your body. You're almost like melting into your seat. Okay. So let's take a long, deep inhale through the nose. And as you inhale, just expanding the ribs, drawing the air right into the belly. Take a little pause. And when you feel comfortable, we're going to exhale. A nice, long, deep exhale. Breathing out through the nose, and feel free to make it quite noisy. And then just take 2 more in your time. And then when you're done with your 3rd one, just gently open your eyes. Okay, so it just instantly settles you. Just
Yeah, it really does.
it really does, and that's only with 3 breaths.
Mm.
So when you're going through your practice, your yoga practice, and it takes a bit of getting used to because it's not easy to do in the beginning, what we try to do is we link the movement of yoga, every movement we do, with an inhale and with an exhale. So it's impossible to do it throughout the whole class, but there are certain poses that it's much easier to do. So with this constant deep inhale and constant deep exhale of the breath, it calms the parasympathetic nervous system down. So with stress, you're probably aware of this, there are 2 systems in the body. There's the sympathetic nervous system and the parasympathetic nervous system. So the sympathetic nervous system is the one that comes into play when we are stressed. So when we stress, it's almost like a seesaw. So when the sympathetic nervous system is sort of in play, the parasympathetic nervous system is down. And when the parasympathetic nervous system is up, the sympathetic nervous system is down. So when we stressed, and I've got some notes here, I'm going to read them because I don't want to forget some of the things.
Thank you.
When we stress, this is what happens to us when we stress. The sympathetic nervous system comes into play, and this is what happens to the body. The immune system is essentially shut down, and stress hormones are released. The tubes in the bronchial area of the lungs dilate. The moment your brain perceives a threat, whether physical or emotional, your pupils dilate, the heart pumps faster, the breath quickens, blood pressure increases, muscles tense. Non-essential in an emergency functions like digestion and immune system responses are also repressed. Stress hormones like adrenaline, cortisol, norepinephrine are released, and inflammation occurs in the body because the body releases cytokines.
Cytokines, yes.
Cytokines, that's how you pronounce it. So I don't know if you've ever been stressed, but I used to be in a very
Frequently.
Okay, and I used to be in events, right? So we had at the end of there was always like a time limit to how long we had to get this function set up, and I would find that I wouldn't go to the toilet at all during the day because I was in a state of stress. Everything had shut down. My digestion shut down. All the systems had shut down because I was in the state of stress. And the minute I got into my car and was about to go home and relax, all of a sudden I went, oh my gosh, I need to go to the loo. Because finally, my parasympathetic nervous system was coming into play and everything was starting to restore. And the bodily functions started to become normal again.
Yeah. So it's fascinating what the body does, isn't it?
Stress is a terrible thing, and it causes immense damage. And if you are stressed for long periods of time, it does enormous damage to the body. So it's very important that if you are in a stressful job and you are dealing with stressful situations, that you take the time to de-stress. And yoga does that. Breathing does that. Any form of exercise will do that for you.
Well, I guess those, even just doing those 3 breaths, you'd sit on the loo and do that in the middle of your workday.
Exactly. So when you're starting to feel out of control, just stop, close your eyes, and just breathe deeply. And it certainly does help. So,
yeah, that's great.
So that was the sympathetic nervous system. So when you look at what the parasympathetic nervous system does, this is the complete opposite, and this is what meditation, breathing, yoga evokes. It stimulates the parasympathetic nervous system. So this is what the parasympathetic nervous system does for the body. It reduces blood pressure. It slows the heart rate down. It it helps blood flow, and directs the blood to the digestive, reproductive organs, the endocrine and lymphatic system, and parts of the body that aren't needed in order to survive. The body is then able better to extract nutrients from the food you eat and more effectively eliminates toxins because of the increased blood circulation. It also increases saliva and it causes your muscles to relax.
Mm.
So you can see how dangerous stress is and how
Mm.
important it is to learn how to relax.
Mm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yes, it's well, stress is a killer. It's pretty simple, isn't it, really? Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Jenny, I'm really interested to know how you do yoga on a Zoom. Can you walk me through how you
Yeah.
manage to teach people?
It's basically the same sort of thing that we're doing now. So what I do is I would be a little bit further away from the camera, and I set up my mat so that you can see my full body, and I I teach with my words. So I will tell you exactly what to do with my words, and I demonstrate with my body. And all my students are obviously in front of me. It's a little hard for me to see them. You know, when I'm teaching in front of people, it's a lot easier for me to keep an eye on everybody.
Mm.
So I tell people that they have to be very, very mindful, and anything that doesn't feel right, they need to back off. Very important. You have to listen to yourself and monitor your own body. Um, and it works really well. It's
Mm.
basically like having a lot of people tell me that it's like being in a normal class.
Mm.
You know, they just get into the groove of it. It works really well.
Mm. Yeah. Yes, I guess it would be like being in a class. You just lie on your mat and you can hear your voice. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, what about little children? How do they go with yoga? Are there children's courses for yoga?
Yes, there are kids classes. You know, in India, um, all the children in all the schools do yoga. So they are brought up right from little children doing yoga, and they are very, very flexible. Because
Mm.
they're brought up with it. It's part of their life. Um,
Okay.
Whereas in Western societies, we literally take up yoga when we're older,
Yes.
and it's quite a struggle to become flexible.
Mm.
If you look at a little baby, it's quite amazing. They can put their toes in their mouth.
Mm.
We are born flexible, and as we get older and older, we get stiffer and stiffer.
That's true. That's true. Okay. So with your classes, I'm actually quite keen to give it a go, actually, and I
Okay.
wouldn't mind. So with the Zoom, you have all your students on. You can see all of them on the little
Yes,
squares in the Zoom, yeah.
exactly.
And then we just watch you and follow suit,
Yes. So
follow what you're doing.
you would actually click on my little square, and it would enlarge me. So I would literally take up the whole screen. So if you're a little further away from the screen, you can clearly see me.
Okay.
And I see all my students, and it depends how many there are. You know, you can have 6, 8, 2, 1. You know, it doesn't really matter.
Mm,
But
mm,
I think for you, Molly, I would start off by giving you maybe some private classes just to see where you're at and just to teach you the basics.
mm,
Or I'd get a group of girls together that were at your level, and we could start with a beginner class.
mm. Yeah, yeah, it'd have to be
Start,
very beginner.
yeah, and that would be fun, and that would be fun. I mean, I've seen people start and progress literally in 3 months. Doesn't
Okay.
take very long before the flexibility comes in, the strength comes in. Um,
Mm. Yeah, and I think certainly in my lifetime, I've not been honouring my body in terms of exercise because I've always been working so much. But I think, I know a lot of people are like that, particularly in the business world. They work long hours, they come home and they're pooped. They just don't want to be bothered thinking about doing anything. And then some people will go to a gym once or twice a week and do a really hard workout, which I think is even more dangerous than doing no exercise because of the stress put on the body. But, you know, something to keep your body a bit flexible. I think it's wonderful. And I sort of kicked myself a bit for not thinking about doing yoga earlier, really. But like I say, you know, time, it's always been time.
Yeah.
Well, we don't have that excuse now. We can just get on Zoom.
Exactly. And I think you have to get yourself into a routine. I've always done exercise my whole life, and I've also worked hard, but I made the time for it. You know, you can at 6 o'clock in the evening you could do yoga. I always found that mornings for me were a bit easier. I felt I had more energy in the morning. But what's interesting about the evening is, you know, sometimes at about 5, 6 o'clock you go, oh, I'm so exhausted. If you actually went, you know what, I'm going to do yoga anyway, or I'm going to do some sort of exercise anyway, you'd be amazed at how the energy, the energy comes. So many times, because I teach often at 6 o'clock in the evenings, and sometimes I think, oh, I feel so exhausted. It's the last thing I do is, I don't feel like teaching at the moment. And I start teaching and this energy just arrives. It just comes. And before you know it, you're just energized, you're full of beans, and you're off. So sometimes you've just got to fight that feeling of, oh, I'm too tired, I'm just going to lie in front of the TV. Because once you start, you feel better immediately.
Okay.
That's the thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's call out and get some people who haven't done much exercise, who are rigid and, well, getting old like me, and let's have a class. I think it'd be marvelous.
I think so. And let's just start just with the basics: stretching, a bit of meditation. You will feel so much better. I promise you will.
I do believe you. I know it is a wonderful modality.
So the thing with yoga is, some people go, and you spoke about this a moment ago, you know, they go, oh, well, I'll just do yoga once a week. You actually can't do that. It's too hard on the body. I suggest at least 2 to 3 times a week, because if you just stretching your body, within 24 hours your body tightens up again. So if you did yoga 3 times a week, you maintain the flexibility, and your body is not fighting all the time to get back to where it was. So doing it once a week is usually not a good thing, and often people hurt themselves if they do yoga once a week.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, because your body...
It's too hard on the body, exactly.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Another thing I find is, especially with guys, their ego drives them, you know. So they see other people, and other people are doing, you know, are quite flexible and strong, and they're going, oh, I should be doing that. And they push themselves so hard that they land up hurting themselves. Yoga is sports, just like any other sport, and you can injure yourself if you are not careful. So you really do have to be careful. You've got to listen, and you've got to go, right, that's not working for me, or that pose doesn't work for my body. I'm going to make modifications and not go in so strong. That's very important, to adjust according to your physical needs. Very important.
Yeah, I guess just listening to your body and stopping when it feels enough, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we encourage people to rest at any time in the class. You know, like if you feel that, you know, you've had enough, just go down onto the floor into a little ball, we call that child pose, and just rest. And take as long as you need to, you know, get your energy and your strength back, and then join in again.
Yeah. Is there any way something like yoga could be done not on the floor, like from a sitting position? Is that possible?
Yes. Yeah, there are. You can do yoga in a chair. There's certain poses you can do in a chair. I sort of like to combine it all. I like to do floor work, chair work you can do, standing work.
Okay.
It's nice to have variety.
Okay. What would there be better benefits if you do more floor work, or does it not make a big difference to the overall outcome?
There's certain things that you do on the floor, like for example, lying on your back and raising your leg up and then putting a strap around the ball of your foot, you're actually stretching your hamstring. Can you make something? So you lie on your back, you raise your leg up, pointing to the ceiling, put the strap around the ball of the foot, and just gently ease the leg towards you. You're stretching your hamstring. That's the one pose that I always suggest people do at home. Because if you can stretch your hamstrings, so many poses depend on looser hamstrings. So if we can get the hamstrings a little looser, so many of the other poses become easier to do.
Okay, good to know.
There's some poses that you do on your back, some poses you do sitting on the floor, some poses you do. It's a variety.
What's the oldest person you've taught, Jen?
Probably somebody in their 70s I've taught.
Gosh.
Yeah, and some people are amazing, you know. There's no limit.
Yeah. Well, I guess in places like India, they pretty well do it all their life, don't they?
Exactly. You know, there are some teachers that teach very elderly people, and they do yoga in chairs. It's called chair yoga. For people that can't really walk, you can do yoga in chairs.
Yeah, that'd be great in the nursing homes.
Yeah, exactly.
Keep people a bit flexible. Yeah,
but I think that's more of a specialized teacher would be working with those sort of patients, you know?
Yeah. Okay, well, okay, so how long does a session take, Jenny? A typical session?
I like to teach for an hour and a quarter. So we start off with a very slow warm-up. Very important to warm up the body. You can't just launch into yoga. It's just, you're going to hurt yourself. So we warm up. Then we do a little bit of the stronger standing work. And then we do cooling down and counter posing at the end. So when you finish with the class, it's very important that you counter pose. So we do twists. We get the spine back in alignment. We release the hips. We release the glutes.
Okay.
And then we relax into shavasana, meditation, relaxation, which is the best part of the class. So what happens at the end of the class is we lie down, little eye pillow over the eyes, maybe a little blanket under the head, and it's consolidation. So everything we have done just infiltrates the body. And it's quite amazing. Yoga releases quite a lot of emotion. I've had so many people at the end of my class burst into tears. It's just this amazing release of stuff.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah, very freeing, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's just, yoga is like, it's a release. It's about letting go. It's about shutting off the world. It's about going within. It's going internal. It's connecting to your wisdom, your intuition. I don't know how many times I've sort of had a problem and I've done a yoga class, and at the end of the class I've gone, oh, that's what I need to do. It just frees your mind so that you can think better.
Right, okay. And is there, when you, at the end of your class, you do the meditation, is there a particular way that you do that? Or is it guided, or what sort of meditation is it?
There are many kinds of different meditation. You could do meditation in a seated position, and you can do breathing techniques to evoke meditation. You can literally close your eyes and relax, and that is meditation. There's so many. We do what is called yoga nidra. So that's like a guided meditation. So you in a relaxed position, and I would be obviously reading you almost like poetry in a way. It's almost like poetry. It's a story perhaps, and it distracts your voices, and it enables you to relax.
Okay, that sounds lovely. I already feel relaxed, I think, just thinking about it. See, it works well.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. No, it's definitely worth a try, you know.
Yeah, agree. And what do you have specific nights or days that you like to do the Zooms, or are you, do you have special class times?
I teach at the moment, I'm only teaching 3 times a week. I teach on a Monday night at 6, a Thursday night at 6, and a Saturday morning at 8:30. And those 3 classes are what I call Vinyasa flow classes. So the students in those classes have done yoga before, and they're a little bit, I wouldn't say they're really strong, but they are a little bit stronger. I think if I had to teach beginners, I would if I had a request to do a beginner class, I would start with a new time that suited, the people involved. Like if you want to grab a few people, a few of your friends or what have you, I think we would start a different class. I don't think you would be ready to participate in those 3 classes.
No, definitely. I'm sure I wouldn't. I see some of the yoga poses and I go, that's impossible. But clearly it's not. People do these things.
Look, I don't believe that you have to do yoga gymnastics. You know what I mean? I don't think some of those poses are actually helpful. Some of the poses I actually stay away from, and I'll give you an example. Headstand, for example. I don't think that headstand for me is a good idea, because when you're in a headstand, you're literally putting all of your weight onto your head and your neck. And
Yes.
I think for people in my age bracket, I don't know if that is such a good thing to do. So I don't do a lot of the yoga gymnastic poses, you know. I'm aware of my age, and there's certain things that you shouldn't be doing when you're a bit older, you know.
Yes. Yeah, and certain things you can't do, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
Get older.
You know, but yoga is not about getting yourself into knots and doing like fancy, it's about stretching. It's about getting healthier. You know, it's about limbering up and keeping pain away, and it's about not being stressed and staying peaceful and calm. That's what it's about.
Okay.
It's not about doing fancy gymnastic type yoga. It's not about that at all.
So if someone came to you and they had a specific neck problem or lower back or knee pain, for instance, or ankle, are there specific poses or stretches that you may do specifically for that?
Yes, I've actually done a yoga back workshop for people with back pain, and the whole class was designed to help their back. And it was amazing. I had people that hadn't done much yoga, and we went through all of these poses and postures that would help their back. And everybody at the end of the class said that their back felt better. But there are definite poses. Oftentimes, if I've got just a small number of people in the class, I'll actually ask them what they would like to work on. There are poses for the neck that help to release neck pain. There are poses for the hips. Some people have very tight hips, so we work on the hips, back, whatever it is. Absolutely.
Okay. And what about, Jen, if someone has had a hip replacement or a knee replacement, does the requirement change in their specific case?
Yes, you do have to make certain modifications with some of the poses. Pain is your biggest guard with any form of exercise. If something is feeling painful, it means it's your body's way of guiding you to do something different. And I always say to people, don't take a painkiller before you come to class. It's the worst thing you can possibly do, because your body you've got no guard. So you're going to go into a pose that you shouldn't be going into because you can't feel the pain. You need to be able to feel that pain, because it's your body's way of saying to you, don't do that.
Exactly. I love pain. I always say to my patients, it's your best friend because it's giving you such an important message.
Correct. Exactly. Yoga usually, doesn't create pain, it relieves pain. So the stretches actually relieve pain. And if you think of what massage does, massage relieves pain. It's actually massaging out all those knots, and yoga does basically the same thing. Stretches out the knots.
Yeah, it does sound good. I know my husband has often said we should go and learn yoga, we should go and do yoga, because many, many years ago he did it and really liked it. So, but yeah, time. Okay, so let's see if we can call out and get, you know, half a dozen old dears like me who haven't done yoga before to come and let's do a course.
Yeah, let's do a course at a time that suits you, that doesn't interfere with work, you know. So maybe it's before you start, early in the morning, or maybe it's lunch, or maybe it's evening, you know, early evening.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. All right. So let's see what happens. We'll see if we can get a group of people together.
Okay, sounds good. I look forward to that.
Yes. Thanks, Jenny. Well, I've certainly enjoyed our talk today. I think I've benefited from this very much. Well, and I've learned a lot about yoga. It's a lot more involved, I guess. There's a lot more levels to it than what I had originally ever thought. I think of yogi, sort of just think of all these strange and difficult poses, but it's doesn't have to be that, and it's certainly far more than that.
Yeah, exactly. Well, as I said, I started out trying to heal my back, and what I realized was it was improving my stress. It was making me calmer. I was coping better. I was. It does a lot more than just normal exercise. It really does.
Yeah, certainly sounds like it. All right, Jenny, thank you so much for joining us in this session. It's been marvellous. And we'll put your contact details on the webpage so people can have your email and contact details so that they can get in touch if they would like to join a class or start a class.
That would be great. Just contact me directly. By email, mobile, whatever it is, and you can go from there.
Take it from there. Yeah, lovely. Thank you, Jenny. Very much appreciated. Thank you.
and thank you for doing the work you're doing. I think you're doing just the most fantastic stuff, you know, with all of these interviews that you're doing. You are teaching people so many wonderful things. So
thank you.
I'm enjoying your chat. All right, take care.
Take care. Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I hope you've gotten as much out of this talk as I certainly have. And if anyone's interested and would like to join a group of stiffened up older people, let's know, and let's get a class together and do some stretching, because I think one of the things that I would think of in terms of benefit, apart from becoming a little bit more flexible and loosening up, is the fact that the stretches and that help circulation and certainly would help lymph fluid moving through your body. And they, to me, are two vital aspects of good health. So let's see. Anybody want to join me? Come on down, so to speak. And let's have a class.
Really improves digestion, Molly. Very good for digestion. Yeah.
Good point.
All those twistings, you know, we do a lot of twists, and that massages all the internal organs and good digestion.
Yeah, good point. Good point. Yes, makes sense. Okay, that's it for us tonight. Thank you so much. Good night. Thanks, Jenny. Good night, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. Health Australia Party certainly appreciates your support. Good night.